Hi, my name is Mark. This is a project for a course of Nutrition 101, Professor Patricia Mantia. Today I'm going to talk about carbohydrates and their biological role, health effects, and consumption guidelines. Um, Introduction. Carbohydrates are one of the three important macronutrients that needed for human activity. They play a key role in a participate in metabolic processes, providing energy and influence a number of physiological functions in our body. Mm, Despite their importance, there is much discussion about their impact on health, especially in context of metabolic diseases. This review examines their biological role of carbohydrates, effects on the body, their classification, and current recommendations for consumption. And let's talk about. The first food I would like to talk about is biological role of carbohydrates. Oh, I almost forgot. All citations will be at the end of this video. The main function of carbohydrates is to provide energy to the body. Is like 1 gram of carbohydrates. If I'm not wrong, it has 4 calories of energy, which is used to support metabolic processes and physical activity. Carbohydrates also have other functions. Brain energy supply, glucose is a primary and eventually the only source of energy for neurons. Metabolic regulation, insulin regulate blood glucose levels, maintaining homeostasis. The next what I would want to talk about is influence of carbohydrates and there's a positive and also negative impact could be. But let's talk at first about positive effects. Hmm. Maintaining energy balance. Carbohydrates provide around like between 50, 60, 16% of daily energy, especially people who did an active lifestyle. Bowel regulation. Fiber promotes sucrose of beneficial microflora, introduces the constipation. Stable cognitive functions. Glucose deficiency can lead to decrease concentration of memory and impairments. And eventually, let's talk about negative impact. It's obvious the overconsumption of sugars is uh, can be developing of obesity, and the second one is the long-term high intake of sugars is associated with increase of cardiovascular risk. As the third one, high intake of refined carbohydrates can cause by increased sugar levels, which is increase of metabolic disorders, and after all, obesity as a consequence. The next one I would want to talk about is classification of carbohydrates. There is three types of carbohydrates. The first one is simple carbohydrates such as glucose, fructose, galactose, sucrose, lactose, maltose. The sources is fruits, dairy products, honey, and eventually sugar. The second type of complex is complex carbohydrates, also called polysaccharides, and it is starch, in usually potatoes and grains, and also glycogen stored carbohydrate in the liver, in muscles. And the third type is dietary fiber, soluble pectins and apples, and insoluble is cellulose, which is in vegetables. They are improve the digestion and lower blood glucose levels. And let's talk a little about the recommendations about their consumption. According to the World Health Organization of recommendations, carbohydrates should make up between like 35 or 60 of total calories. The daily allowance of free sugars should not exceed 10% of total energy intake. Optional, optimally less than 5%. It is recommended to increase your intake of whole grain products and fiber rich vegetables. And will say thanks to everyone for attention and hope that this information was helpful to you.